And Family First this morning, we're talking about melatonin and kids. Melatonin is a natural hormone that helps us regulate our sleep timing, our internal clock. A lot of adults use it, and since our bodies make it on its own naturally, it seems like a safe option for our kids as well. But a recent advisory is warning parents to proceed with extreme caution, if at all, because of a big jump in reports of melatonin overdoses and calls to poison control. So to talk more about this is Dr. Eric Hoppa from Connecticut Children's. Dr. Hoppa, thanks so much for talking with us this morning.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so doctor, when I first read the recent advisory from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, it was really eye-opening. What do parents need to know?
I think, looking at this advisory, parents need to know that there may not be great evidence for using melatonin to assist with their kids' sleep habits, and also that it can be dangerous if taken in an overdose.
Now, the advisory came from the AASM last week, but it comes on the heels of a report from the CDC, and those numbers are really shocking. Pediatric poisonings from melatonin jumped by over 500% from 2012 to 2021. Now, almost 28,000 children required treatment for melatonin poisoning. Most of them were discharged, but about 4,000 were hospitalized. 5 children had to be put on ventilators, and 2 children actually died. Do you think parents should stop using it completely or just be more aware of where they put the medications? I mean, this is just really, really shocking to so many parents.
I think this is something that they're going to use it. They should use it in consultation with their child's pediatrician, first and foremost, and then also being, vigilant about where it's stored to keep away from young children. Most of those overdoses are in children less than age 5. And so like any medication or household product, it needs to be stored safely and out of reach of children is probably the most important message.
Yeah, now the fact that a lot of these come in gummy form, they look just like candy, certainly doesn't help. Right?
Absolutely not. Like so many things that kids get into, if they look like something they typically eat, whether it be candy or a fruit snacks or something like that, it's much more likely that a child's going to get into it, and really means it needs to be kept out of reach in a safe location.
Now, here in the U.S., melatonin is sold as a supplement. It's not regulated as a drug. Now, because it's not regulated, the Food and Drug Administration doesn't have any oversight over the purity of ingredients or like how accurate the dosage is. And that's something that people really need to be mindful about, right?
Absolutely. It is like any other supplement, and those are much less tightly regulated. And again, a reason to talk to your child's pediatrician or provider about whether this is a good option, for you and your child.
Is there anything specific that we should look for on the packaging to maybe feel better about it?
There are some certifications out there, and I think that would be something you want to look at. And I think obviously buying it from a reputable brand or a place that you're familiar with would also be advisable.
Now, I have to admit, I'm one of those parents who's given melatonin to my child. My 14-year-old, she's told me for a while that she's really struggling to fall asleep. And from what I'm reading, there are so many kids dealing with this issue right now. What can we do as parents to help them other than turn to a sleep aid like melatonin or something else?
You're 100% correct. I think coming out of the pandemic and everything that's gone on in the world, there are many, many more children that are struggling with their sleep habits. I think the key is really developing good sleep hygiene, meaning good routines, limiting things like screens prior to bedtime, and setting routines for your child. It can take some time to help reset them, but I think can be much more successful in the long run. And again, something to talk to your pediatrician about, is they may be able to counsel you in ways to help your child that doesn't involve sleep aids or supplements.
Yeah, it is hard to change those bedtime routines, those habits, but it is worth working towards that change. Now, before we go, I have to ask you, because we were talking about overdoses with melatonin, what are the signs of a melatonin overdose that parents should be aware of, just in case, kids get a hold of a container? We do have those gummies at home. What should we be looking out for?
So the lucky thing is most kids are relatively asymptomatic, as you said, but you can see things like irritability, lethargy. Kids may have some neurologic complaints like dizziness, maybe some vomiting. And I would advise anyone, if you suspect your child has accidentally gotten into melatonin or any other household item or medication, to contact poison control. They're great at helping assess the situation and figuring out what the next steps in management are.
All right, and as always, speak to your child's pediatrician, right, if you have any questions.
Correct.
All right, Dr. Hoppa, thanks so much. We do appreciate your time and your insight sorting through these surprising numbers, but really helping us feel a little bit better about them all.